Attention all passengers in the lobby area. This train will be departing shortly for DX Central Live. Please be sure to have your boarding ticket ready. Additionally, it is recommended that you have your AM or FM radio on your person at all times while the train is in motion, as this will allow you to report receptions during the voyage. If you have not yet done so, it is recommended that you subscribe to this channel so you will be notified when new videos are available, including future voyages of DX Central Live. Thank you for travelling with us, and we hope you enjoy our journey on DX Central Live. Attention all passengers in the lobby area. This train will be departing shortly for DX Central Live. Please be sure to have your boarding ticket ready. Additionally, it is recommended that you have your AM or FM radio on your person at all times while the train is in motion, as this will allow you to report receptions during the voyage. If you have not yet done so, it is recommended that you subscribe to this channel so you will be notified when new videos are available, including future voyages of DX Central Live. Thank you for travelling with us, and we hope you enjoy our journey on DX Central Live.
Welcome to another episode of DX Central Live. It's your girl Rachel bringing you the music to keep your toes tapping and your spirits high as we speed towards the start of tonight's show. Already 4 episodes into season 6, if you can believe it, and tonight we will be launching a brand new challenge. That's right, no more digging about in the muck of the graveyard. Lloyd has found some perfectly good new muck for us to kick around in. We have got so much to get to tonight. I have a bunch of announcements we need to read as well, but first I want to get us going with some good music. Every Friday night at 18:45 Central Time. Now, with daylight savings ending this weekend, that means the start time for the show is actually going to move to 00:45 UTC. Still the same on Central Time, but UTC gets the bump to 00:45. If you haven't done so already, be sure to check out our new podcast episode on the From the Static podcast just pushed on Wednesday. It is our first edition in our History of Radio series, and for this one, we take a very special look back at more than 100 years of KDKA in Pittsburgh. You know, if that lot hadn't done what they did all the way back in 1920, who knows if we would even be here tonight. You can find that episode anywhere you get podcasts or directly from us at fromthestatic.net. More great music heading your way, and since it is Halloween today, I thought a nice spooky DX song was in order. You are right in the middle of a DX party with your girl Rachel, and we are hanging out, getting the chat going, playing some music, ignoring all the kids at the door, wanting candy like I would share any of my candy. I mean, come on. If you haven't yet gotten in your shout-outs, this is a great time to do it. Lloyd ran out of time last week, so we have a bunch from last week to get to, but have no fear. We will make time to get the rest of last week's plus any that come in for tonight. So head on over to the link for the shout-out submission form pinned at the top of the chat and get yours in. I was watching this movie the other day about surfers in Hawaii, and it got me to daydreaming about pulling in AM signals from Hawaii. How great would that be?
Chasing light, California sand cool beneath my toes, dreaming of a voice the ocean knows. Echoes across the waves, calling out my name. Hawaii's out there somewhere, I'll catch it just the same. Late night hum buzzes in my ear, skip the static, bring the islands near. Serves a language I can't translate, but the airwaves speak my fate. I'm out, Hawaii come through. Radio dreams under starlit
with your girl Rachel here on DX Central Live, and we are getting closer to the start of the show at 23:45 UTC. That's 18:45 Central Time. Did you know we have officially started a Patreon for our supporters? You asked for it, we are doing it. Patrons get access to exclusive videos, live streams, early access and more. It's called Studio C, and you can find out more at patreon.com/DXCentral. Also, be sure to check out our newly refreshed, redesigned DX Central Live website. Just head on over to dxcentrallive.com and you will find a full show archive of all of our episodes, including special editions for DX test and propagational events. We are even going through and adding show notes to episodes so you can easily find topics we have discussed for future reference. Let's see, did I forget anything? I don't think so. So, back to the music here on DX Central Live.
The radio crackles like a distant fire. Words of the streets rising higher and higher. Voices shouting truths they can't contain. A melody of anger and a hymn of pain. I hear them marching in my mind. I hear the voices of our time. On the air, they're everywhere. On the air, on the air. The DJ spins tales of a world gone mad. A soldier's letter, a mother's laugh, static hums like the whispers of the past. How long can this silence last? The signal fades, but the message stays. It burns like a torch in the darkest haze. A guitar strums through the night so bare. A call for peace hangs in the air. The radio cries, but the world stays still. How many voices until we will?
Getting closer to the start of tonight's episode of DX Central Live. And here in just a few minutes, we will be handing over the reins to our good friend Mark Monroe for the countdown, where he hits the 10-minute countdown clock all the way up to go time. Tonight we wrap up the Graveyard Challenge and prepare for the launch of a new one. Some of our patrons already know about that though, and they did that by signing up to be a patron at patreon.com/DXCentral. If that is something that sounds interesting to you, feel free to check it out. No pressure. And don't forget to get your shout-outs in over at dxchallenges.com/shoutouts. You can find that linked and pinned at the top of the chat box. While you are in the chat, be sure to stop in and say hello.
Oscura está la noche, busco señales ya. La radio en mis manos, nada logro captar. Sintonizo con ganas, frecuencias mil a ver, pero el silencio manda, solo puedo perder. Noches y señales, esperanza en el aire. Latinoamérica llama, más nada puedo hallar. Ondas largas se alejan, su eco quiero oír. Mi corazón espera el amor al decidir. Noches y señales, esperanza en el aire. Latinoamérica llama, más nada puedo hallar. Ondas largas se alejan, su eco quiero oír. Mi corazón espera el amor al decidir. Noches y señales, esperanza en el aire. Latinoamérica llama, más nada puedo hallar. Noches y señales, esperanza en el aire. Latinoamérica llama, más nada puedo hallar. Ondas largas se alejan, su eco quiero oír. Mi corazón espera el amor a recibir. Noches y señales, esperanza en el aire. Latinoamérica llama, más nada puedo hallar. Allá la puedo hallar. Sueño con aquellas tierras, música que me abraza. Solo queda el anhelo, esta noche es mi laza.
do it for me tonight. Coming up next is Mark Monroe with the countdown, and on this Halloween night, Mark is spinning up some extra special spookiness for us. Before we flip the switch, a few more reminders. Be sure to get your shout-outs in by clicking on the link pinned at the top of the chat for our shout-out submission form. We have a little backlog from last week to get through, but then we will be sure to get to this week's shout-outs too. Don't forget about our podcast, which you can find anywhere you get your podcasts and from our website at fromthestatic.net. Our most recent episode dives into the history and legacy of the legendary KDKA-AM in Pittsburgh. We have some more extra special episodes planned in the near future, so you will definitely want to subscribe, follow, or do whatever with your podcast provider so you will be notified when new episodes are available. Also, we just launched a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/DXCentral to sign up to be a patron supporter. That keeps the lights on, the videos flowing, and the websites running. We have a bunch of perfectly positioned perks for our patrons. Try saying that 5 times fast. What kind of perks? Well, how about exclusive live DX sessions, Zoom meetings to discuss DX educational topics, early access to videos and more. We just launched this week and already the response from you lot has been amazing and we cannot thank you enough for that. And we have a fully redesigned website for our archives at dxcentrallive.com. 6 years of DX Central Live, all organised and tidy. We are adding show notes as well with the topics discussed in the episodes so you can more easily find specific discussions we have done over the years. Want to know when in Season 5 we discussed common mode chokes? We have got you covered. And with that, let's turn it over to Monster Mark Monroe and the countdown. Scare us up some tunes, Mark.
Thank you, Rachel. And yes, I am Mark Monroe, and tonight we have a special Halloween-themed edition of The Countdown. We are taking you all the way up to the start of tonight's episode of DX Central Live, like usual, but tonight we throw a little extra spookiness to it. Fitting that we are wrapping up the Graveyard Challenge tonight in our first hour, because this first song is about a DXer that is spooked by the sounds he hears one late Halloween night on his AM radio. Could that happen tonight? We will just have to wait and see. Mark Monroe, and we are counting down the minutes until the start of tonight's episode of DX Central Live with Lloyd Van Horn. Lloyd is over in Studio A right now, here at North Shore Studios, getting everything ready to go. Speaking of the studio, in case you missed Rachel's announcement earlier, we are now on Patreon, where you can be a patron of the work we do here at DX Central. We call it Studio C, and already the response from all of you has been truly extraordinary. If you want to be part of the exclusive live DX stream sessions, exclusive videos, early access to the podcast videos and whatnot, just head on over to patreon.com/DXCentral and sign up today. This will help us pay all the bills for the various tools and resources we have to use to keep the content coming. You know, there was always something haunting and a bit spooky about late night DX when I was a kid. Huddled around a little portable radio, everyone else is in bed, and you sit by a dimly lit lamp trying to decipher an ID out of the static, especially hearing signals from distant radio stations in other countries always sent a chill up my spine, and it didn't even have to be Halloween night.
Fingers trembling on the dial, static whispers, ghosts for miles, lost in the hum, the crackle, the hiss. Where's the voice I'm dying to miss? Every shadow a secret, every shadow a sign. What's waiting in the dark of the frequency line? Ghosts on the airwaves calling me. Phantoms in the static haunting me. I hear them now, I hear them clear. Ghosts on the airwaves, I'm finally Halloween night, the sky split wide. Morning winds, the moon's cold eye. I scan for life through the howling void. Signals breaking, signals destroyed. Every whisper a heartbeat, every hum a clue. Somewhere out there I'll find you. Ghosts on the airwaves calling me. Phantoms in the static haunting me. I hear them now, I hear them clear. Ghosts on the airwaves, I'm finally here.
You have found DX Central Live, where we bring you live DX and DX related tips, tricks and more. Plus, we read your shoutouts, where you tell us the DX you have been hearing over the past week. Just hit that pinned link at the top of the chat, fill out our form, and Lloyd will give you the virtual high five tonight on the show. For our final song of the countdown, we salute that master of the late night talk, the paragon of paranormal, the OG of the otherworldly, the spinner of the spectral. I am, of course, talking about the legendary original host of Coast to Coast AM, Mr. Art Bell.
A voice breaks static in the dark. A signal beaming through the stars, tuning in. Hearts racing.
That will do it for the countdown. Lloyd is up next over in Studio A for DX Central Live. Have a happy Halloween, everyone. Best of DX, and Rachel and I will be back next week for another episode of DX Central Live. But first, a few words from our sponsors.
DX Central Live is brought to you in part by
The International Radio Club of America gives DXers incredible value by putting important station information right at your fingertips. The club's e-publication, the DX Monitor, includes DXer loggings, station information updates, international loggings, and more. Other club publications include the IRCA Mexican Log, a must-have resource for any DXer that chases stations from Mexico, the TIS-HAR list, the IRCA slogan list, sunset sunrise maps, and DXer technical guides. The joint IRCA-NRC email reflector and groups.io group is a hub for real-time DX conditions, station news, and DX-related conversation. For more information, visit ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org. From long wave to satellites, medium wave through HF, ham radio to scanners. If you can DX it, the Spectrum Monitor has you covered. Editor and publisher Ken Reitz has assembled a who's who of radio writers to share their knowledge and expertise from a wide range of DX-related topics. Each month, the Spectrum Monitor's columnists dive into their specialties to give readers tips, tricks, the latest news and station updates, and more. The Spectrum Monitor also provides a monthly assortment of feature articles that give in-depth insight into the past, present, and future of DXing. You can get a full year of the Spectrum Monitor for only $24. Individual issues from the current year are available for $3 each. You can also purchase previous years of the Spectrum Monitor in their entirety for as low as $12. For more information, visit thespectrummonitor.com. That's thespectrummonitor.com. For more than 90 years, the National Radio Club has been at the forefront of providing DXers with the latest in station news, DX-related technical information, and reception reports from DXers around the world. The NRC's AM radio log is the most expansive and detailed resource of station information for U.S. and Canadian radio stations that is available in any format. The club's publication, the DX News, is available in both print and electronic format and provides the latest information on call letter and format changes, construction permits, and other information to help keep DXers informed of the latest updates they may hear on the air. For more information, visit their website at nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org.
Can't get enough DX? Then the DX Central From the Static podcast is for you. Take DX Central on the go and listen to episodes from DX Central Live, interviews with prominent members of the DX community, tips, tricks, how-tos, your DX memories and stories. And that's just the start. You can find the From the Static podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Listen Notes, or anywhere you get podcasts, or by visiting FromTheStatic.net. That's FromTheStatic.net. For stories, signals, and voices from across the airwaves, don't miss the DX Central From the Static podcast.
Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
You're watching DX Central Live with Lloyd Van Horn, and that's a very wise thing to do.
It's a Friday night. Lloyd in the North Shore setting frequencies right. AM and FM, the airwaves collide. DX Central Live, where the signals can't hide. Tuning in the static, chasing down the sounds. Every single signal is magic we have found. All radios hum, the channels all agree. DX Central Live is the place to be. Folks in the chat, shout out your call. From east to west, we're breaking down the walls. It's the magic of the night, where frequencies fly. Join us now on DX Central Live.
From the Gulf South,
To your corner of the world.
this is DX Central Live.
Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
It's DX Central Live from Studio A here in the North Shore Studios in Mandeville, Louisiana. Happy Halloween, my friends. And I hope you all are scaring up some DX in the graveyard this week, because we're running out of time. Well, technically we're running out of time, but when we launch our new challenge, you can still prowl in the graveyard if you want to, but I'm sure you're probably looking forward to getting out of those 6 frequencies. So we're going to open up things a little bit. We'll be talking about that in the next hour. Man, we have had a busy week this week. We've done a lot. You heard Rachel and Mark talking about it in the pre-show. Countdown, the DX party in the countdown. Let's see. The new DX Central Live website is up. It's running. It's beautiful. And the full archive, we're going through and adding show notes. It's just going to take a while because I have to sit there and watch all the episodes and kind of scan through and find the stuff that we talked about. But that is now up and running, dxcentrallive.com. And you can also go there. There's a link for the current episode, so you can go right to that website. There's the link for the current episode and come right to where we are right now if you want to do that. You don't have to bookmark anything else. Although bookmarking our YouTube page is probably not a bad idea because we do some cool stuff on the YouTube channel, rather. Let's see, what else did we do this week? We launched a new series on our podcast. It is the History of Radio. You guys heard me talking about this last week. Our first edition of the History of Radio is KDKA, more than 100 years of radio, from some say the first, some say kind of almost the first, but whatever. KDKA is a icon in the radio industry and the DX hobby. So that is our first station, our first deep dive that we're doing in our History of Radio series on the podcast. So anywhere you get your podcast, or you can go to our website, fromthestatic.net, and you can get our podcast there. And we'll be doing more of those History of Radios. I've got one queued up here next where we're starting to do the research on and getting the script written and everything. It's going to be pretty awesome, but we're going to be doing stuff on stations, people, just, DJs and engineers and different names and faces and whatnot in the industry. So things that a lot of us probably grew up on, technology from like radio brands, like history of certain types of manufacturers of radios and stuff. So we're going to really have some fun with that series. Of course, this episode of DX Central Live will also be up on the podcast later this weekend once we have the ability to download that and upload it to the podcast. Again, from thestatic.net, that is where you want to go for the podcast, or wherever you get your podcast. You can also get it from another new thing that we did this week. We now have a Patreon. So we've had a lot of people asking over the years about having Patreon available so you guys were able to support the work that we're doing, which I waited until it was like the right time, right? We were going to do it originally, but I was like, let's get some stuff moving first. I want to get some stuff kind of worked out, and then we'll look at it. And so we've looked at it, and now we're at a place where we can do it and still offer some of the perks and extra little things. So things like exclusive patron live DX streams. We're adding now a Zoom element to that so we can actually interact together on these live streams for our patrons specifically. And all kinds of stuff. So just go to patreon.com/DXCentral. All the details are there. I'll let you guys kind of sort that out how you want to go about it if you want to. But just know every dime that comes in from Patreon, from our YouTube ad revenue, our merchandise sales, anything that's coming in from the channel gets put back in the channel and puts back into DX Central. So you guys, the support you've been able to do for 5 years plus has been amazing. I was blown away that within a day we already had 4 people at the high tier level on Patreon, our executive producers. You saw their names in the opening of the show. So thank you guys very, very much for your support, your continued support, and it means so much to me. And I promise you, all that money is getting put right back into the work that we're doing. We can keep bringing you more and more and more as we go along here. So, all right, let's we'll get to some more stuff we've been doing. We've got a whole agenda here that we're going to talk about. Our patrons know already because we shared that with our patrons earlier. Our producers and executive producers got to already get a sneak peek of our agenda here. But I'm going to do some live DX first. We're going to go ahead and wrap up this whole graveyard challenge thing. We're going to start off here on 1230 kilohertz, where we have our local station WBOK. Now, I've swung our two of our antennas to the northwest or whatever. The one that's the northwest southeast here at North Shore Studios, that is now pointing at 305 degrees northwest. So you'll see that on the Kiwi. It's also going to be on our air spy here in a few moments. Also, the shortwave central Kiwi is now pointing at 330 degrees, so like that northwest-ish, which gets a really good coverage into that neck of the woods. And there's a reason why we're doing that, so we'll talk about that in a bit. But first, this live DX session is brought to you by the International Radio Club of America, IRCAonline.org. IRCAonline.org, that's where you want to go for more information about becoming a member of the IRCA. And we got to go up here and change, because we just changed this right before the show started. We came over and did a new direction here. It's not 125 anymore, it's 305. There we go. All right, so let's take a look here on 1230. We're trying to get rid of our local WBOK here in the New Orleans area. And so I've used my vactrol to kind of, on both the shortwave central Kiwi and here on our other this northwest antenna, we're trying to use that vactrol to kind of get that back end null using the variable terminating resistor on the back side of the antenna on the CASs that we have. We're trying to kind of null that down nice and deep so we can try to see what else we can have there. And earlier I actually had Pensacola overtaking the frequency earlier before the show started. So let's see what we have there now. All right, so we do have to be okay in there. Let me see if we can do anything about that. And if not, then we're going to use the code-channel canceller here on them. Okay, we're going to use the code-channel canceller. So you see this peak. It's probably going to be hard to kind of see. Right here where my red line is, that is our, that's where I had the WBOK signal earlier this evening, and I had them nulled out. You'll see the peak right here. This peak just to the right of it, that's their signal. Now, that peak is right now sitting right near the 0 mark, so it's pretty close to the offset right at 1230, but that was way to the right earlier, and you see it was way to the left. It was actually left of my red line, and it was at the red line, so it's been moving all over the place. So sometimes when you're trying to get rid of a station, you'll have them canceled out, and it's hard to kind of track down that way. That's why. So something to kind of keep in mind.
DX Central Live, top of the hour alert.
It's top of the hour. That means we are looking for IDs, and it also means we are going silent here on the microphone. Let's see if we can get rid of BBOK and see what's underneath.
always. Thank you so much.
I didn't hear an ID out of any of that. I had a music station in there, and then there was another station right there towards the end that I thought might be fading up to give us an ID, but we didn't get anything out of that one. So no ding for that particular DX session. But hey, that's okay. You know, that's what we do it because we want to see if it's gonna be there or not. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. So we got a lot to get to tonight, guys. I got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. We got our main topics tonight. Our first segment in hour one here, we're going to be talking about logging. We're going to be talking about logging and logbooks and online logbooks that you can use for free to make yourself and how to make that process very, very streamlined. Got a couple of questions about this recently from multiple different DXers about some of the stuff that we use here at DX Central. People who want to use like Microsoft Access or Excel spreadsheets. We have a whole series we did on that here on the YouTube channel about those particular solutions. But tonight, we're going to really focus in on the Google suite. Google Forms, Google Sheets, and the Google Sites, and how you can use those three in conjunction to make a very, very powerful logbook for yourself. They'll give you deep analysis into exactly what you heard, when you heard it, how you heard it, and more. We're also going to talk a bit tonight about SDRs as it pertains to AM radio and AM DXing. A lot of questions we get are, you know, hey, what's the best AM DX SDR that I can get, right? And that's a loaded question because there's no single answer there. But we're going to kind of talk through some of the different options here tonight. I know a lot of you guys are already using SDRs or have one that you're already using, but just want to talk through some of the different options that are there on the market now and see what might be a good fit for you, budget-wise, feature-wise, and more, to be a good fit for your shack. So we talk about that. We've got a ton of shout-outs to get to. I didn't get to all of them last week, so we've got a backlog this week, and that's totally cool. We're going to do all of them we had from last week, all the ones you guys are sending in now. So dxchallenges.com/shoutout. Get those in, and we'll be sure to read those out here on the air. We'll actually do that right after this break we're about to do here. We'll come back, get right to our shout-outs before we do any of our kind of topical stuff that we talk about here. So don't go anywhere, my friends. More DX Central Live is heading your way right after this.
DX Central, because we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central. DX Central Live is brought to you in part by
The International Radio Club of America gives DXers incredible value by putting important station information right at your fingertips. The club's e-publication, the DX Monitor, includes DXer loggings, station information updates, international loggings, and more. Other club publications include the IRCA Mexican Log, a must-have resource for any DXer that chases stations from Mexico, the TIS-HAR list, the IRCA slogan list, sunset sunrise maps, and DXer technical guides. The joint IRCA-NRC email reflector and groups.io group is a hub for real-time DX conditions, station news, and DX-related conversation. For more information, visit ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org. From long wave to satellites, medium wave through HF, ham radio to scanners. If you can DX it, the Spectrum Monitor has you covered. Editor and publisher Ken Reitz has assembled a who's who of radio writers to share their knowledge and expertise from a wide range of DX-related topics. Each month, the Spectrum Monitor's columnists dive into their specialties to give readers tips, tricks, the latest news and station updates, and more. The Spectrum Monitor also provides a monthly assortment of feature articles that give in-depth insight into the past, present, and future of DXing. You can get a full year of the Spectrum Monitor for only $24. Individual issues from the current year are available for $3 each. You can also purchase previous years of the Spectrum Monitor in their entirety for as low as $12. For more information, visit thespectrummonitor.com. That's thespectrummonitor.com. For more than 90 years, the National Radio Club has been at the forefront of providing DXers with the latest in station news, DX-related technical information, and reception reports from DXers around the world. The NRC's AM radio log is the most expansive and detailed resource of station information for U.S. and Canadian radio stations that is available in any format. The club's publication, the DX News, is available in both print and electronic format and provides the latest information on call letter and format changes, construction permits, and other information to help keep DXers informed of the latest updates they may hear on the air. For more information, visit their website at nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org.
Can't get enough DX? Then the DX Central from the Static podcast is for you. Take DX Central on the go and listen to episodes from DX Central Live, interviews with prominent members of the DX community, tips, tricks, how-tos, your DX memories and stories. And that's just the start. You can find the From the Static podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Listen Notes, or anywhere you get podcasts, or by visiting FromTheStatic.net. That's FromTheStatic.net. For stories, signals, and voices from across the airwaves, don't miss the DX Central From the Static podcast.
Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
This man told me to tell you to watch DX Central Live with Lloyd Van Horn every Friday night. Can you help me out of this chair now?
From the DX Central North Shore Studios, this is DXC Live. Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
From lands so far away, but the skies are clear, no sporadic ease at play. Waves of silence, no voices in the air. Waves of silence, empty frequencies everywhere.
It's DX Central Live from the North Shore Studios here in Mandeville, Louisiana. We're in Studio A this evening where we bring you live DX conversation. We're launching a new challenge later on this hour, so that'll be coming up and cool. Let's see what else we got going on. We got several topics to talk about, and the most important thing, though, I want to get to right now is your shout-outs, because we didn't get to all the shout-outs last week, and I feel like a goober about that. So let's get the shout-outs rolling here.
Shout out loud, hear the call for every single big or small, from AM to FM, from C to C. We celebrate the ones who slag the IT. Shout out loud, let it be known, you're never DXing all alone. Through the day.
All right. We've got a bunch of these. Like I said, we got all the ones that were left from last week. We got some new ones from this week. I still want you to continue to send yours in from this week. Don't shy away from that. dxchallenges.com/shoutout. If you have one from last week I didn't get to and you submit a new one, I'll just combine them. I'm just sorting by name here, and we're just going to combine them so we can get to everybody. In fact, let me go ahead and do another sort. There we go. All right, let's start off with our friend Charles Williams over in
California.
There you go.
California.
I love that. Charles Williams has got 1660 KWOD, Kansas City, Kansas this morning. First station from Kansas. Made sure it wasn't transmitting from Missouri. So there you go, man. Kansas City. And we get you the fireworks, because that's a new state. Yeah! And I think that's worth a log saw, too, from California to Kansas. I mean, that's, not easy to get to Kansas from
California.
Oh Lord, he's found the sounds. When I was in radio, let me back up. When I first got into radio, the very in vogue thing to do for station imaging, for promos for the station, for your show, stuff like that, was Simpsons liners. Like you'd have little drops from the Simpsons. Where's my burrito? It's Power 90.5, right? Like stuff like that. So, I've never really gone that route here on the show, but I'm starting to kind of warm up to the idea of maybe let's go bring this back to the early 2000s version of radio. Good job, Charles. Always good to see a new state from you, my friend, and your logs in general. So, we got two here from Chuck Ripple in Virginia. Chuck says heard CHLO and Radio Encyclopedia while rotating his Wellbrook loop from north to south. From north-south, heard a third station on 530, but not in English. Need to get a few more evenings with good conditions. Could be Radio Rebeldy. There's a Rebeldy there on 530 down in Cuba as well, Chuck. So you may check that out and see if that's who you also were hearing. And you can run that up against from your location in Virginia. You have your choice. You want to run it up against 1180, 670. Any of those would work, and if you can't pick those up for whatever reason, just come to our KiwiSDRs. You'll find them there. They're going to be there, I promise. Also, Chuck says, okay, here we go. We discovered what was under Radio Encyclopedia on 530. It was CHLO, and which is a 250-watt Canadian out of Brampton. Was able to split the difference between the two with the Wellbrook G3300 DDC, Wellbrook 1530, and a TV rotor, and snagged the air check attached. So let's just take a listen to that, shall we?
AM 530, CHLO AM, serving Brampton, Mississauga, Toronto, the GTA, and the world at am530.ca. The opinions expressed in the following program.
That's an ID. That is quite the ID. Well done, man. So we'll get you those new logs here. So we got you got the encyclopedia. So we're gonna get the new Latin American. And some new logs in there as well, my friend. Good job. All right, well done, man. Well done, Chuck Ripple in Virginia. Next up, we got Dan Massey. Dan in Texas says, very happy with 2 new logs from Jalisco this week, bringing our total to 4. 1030 XEROPJ in Lagos de Morena. It's about 630 miles. And 1230 XEDKN Radio Formula in Guadalajara, 704 miles. So a graveyarder making its way in there for our friend Dan in Texas. Well done, my friend. So we'll get you that Latin American station in there as well, because Where's My Burrito was one of my favorites to use. I used it all the time when I was in radio. Where's my burrito? Power 99.5. Right. And you also got the log saw in here for you, man. There you go. All right. We got several. We're doing good. We got enough to do a couple more this round, and then we can still slice that up in the next round. David over in Georgia, our friend David, always checking in with some good logs from Georgia. Find the DXing medium wave when you have a lot of stations already in the log is kind of tough, right? I only record new stations, right? So I was on 590 rather. Heard a Spanish station. I already had 3 stations on the frequency, but I heard an ID at top of the hour identifying as, any guesses? Anyone? Any guesses? 590 Spanish station. Let's see it. Who's going to be the first one to do it? In the chat. There might be a little delay here, so this might be kind of a moot point. Who's going to be the one to say 590 Spanish station? ID was? You got the ID from him, too. You got the actual top of the hour ID. CMBF, which is... You guys are right there. I'm going to give it to Rick because he was the first one, but what's the network? Pop quiz time from DX Central here. Someone says there are semi-auroral conditions going on. Of course, I flipped my antennas to the north and the northwest. So, of course, all the conditions are going to be towards the south tonight. There you go. Rick, Radio Musica Nacional. Well done, David. He goes on here. He says, DXing is a lot like fishing. You have to wait. Sometimes you may have to wait a long time to catch a fish or a new station, but persistence pays off. Yes, it does. It was a great day for Tropo openings on FM on October 23rd. While waiting in the parking lot for my daughter, I heard WUBB in Bluffton, Georgia. Bluffton? I ordered new glasses this week, so hopefully this will be one of the last weeks that I have like horrible eyesight. On 106.9, I then went to 95.3 and logged WVKV from Valdosta, Georgia, and then WPRW on 107.9 from Martinez, Georgia. While I didn't set any distance records, these are all the all-time news stations on those frequencies for me. I believe now I only have 2 FM frequencies left to log before I will have had at least one station on every FM channel. Persistence pays, my man. You are not lying. That is what I'm talking about. And Rick says, one difference between DXing and fishing. In DXing, we don't throw the little ones back. That is true. Well done, my friend David. Good catches from Georgia. I'm actually having to go to bifocals. My eye doctor said, it's about time that you probably consider bifocals. And I was like, no, it's not. It's not that time. You're mistaken, I think. And he said, okay, well, let me show you what the difference would be. So he puts the little thingy up, the 1, 2, which one's better, 1 or 2? 1 or 2? And he put that up there, and he did all the doodle that he had already kind of figured out what my prescription would be, and he did the comparison. This is without bifocals, and I was like, okay. And he puts the little thing up close, and he's like, can you read? I was like, not really. And he said, here's with. And he flipped it, and I went, oh, okay, I'll do it, because that's amazing. It's so clear and beautiful. So your boy's about to have progressives here in the next couple of weeks. Oh, well. David Pete in Maine, our next contestant on the shout-out game. I had a great opening to the south on the 20th. All these new logs were from that day except the last one, which was the 21st. 5 new Colombians to bring my total to 31. My man, yes. 690 W radio, 1100 BBN radio, 1130 Fuego AM, 1040 Colmundo radio, all from Bogota, 1110 Radio Reloj from Cali. Nice. I can't get past XERED here. Puerto Rico, number 15 and 16. 1110 WMTI and 1120 WMSW. Hatillo, I've heard them when I was in Charleston. I heard them. That was one of my favorite little moments in my early Latin American chases when I was in Charleston. Venezuela, number 8 on 860 Radio Enlace in Valle de la Pascua. Man, my eyesight's horrible, so pardon me if I butchered that one. WIWA Eatonville, Florida, number 28 for Florida. 1070 Radio Guama in Cuba. That's for Cuba number 43. Also, a big shout out to Ham Radio Outlet. We'll be looking at them here in a little bit. Decided to try the whole phasing thing and ordered the RSP Duo on Wednesday. Had it in his hands today. I'm assuming that's like a day or two. So probably a pretty quick turnaround there. So we've got several Latin American stations for David. And we're also going to get you those log saws for you, man. All right, let's see if we got any more. Okay, we're going to do one more this round, and then we'll finish up the rest in the second round, I promise. Dennis, our friend Dennis in Ladysmith, Virginia. WBLB 1340 in Pulaski, Virginia. WRHI 1340 Rock Hill, South Carolina, also in South Carolina in Chester, 1490 WGCD. WMFA 1400 Rockford, North Carolina. WYNN 540 Florence, South Carolina, playing classic country, but no ID for a few hours. Format change from Black Gospel. That is surprising. And only 166 watts nighttime power, 283 miles. Possibly a power increase. You'd be surprised. I was saying this on social media to some folks earlier. There was somebody who was hearing a station, I think it was on 530 or 550, that they were like, there's no way I can be hearing this one at like 500 watts. And I was like, well, here you go. This was an air check that I had of WAUK up in Wisconsin on 540 with like 400 watts, and they were booming in. And they only do like 400 watts daytime, 400 watts nighttime. So it's not like they were on day power. They were just on their power. And they were booming in. And that's those low frequencies like that. You'd be surprised how well they get out with very little wattage. They really do. So not necessarily a different power than they should have been. They're on those, but let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new ones for our friend Dennis. All right, that's going to do it for this first round of shout-outs, and then we'll come back to looking at those again here in our next hour. But I do want to get to our first segment of the night, which is looking at logging. So I've had a couple of different DXers come to me and ask some questions about logging. We did a series here on the YouTube channel about logbooks a while back, and we were looking at oops, not that one. That one. We were looking at Microsoft Access database and Excel spreadsheets and how you could use those to in conjunction with one another so that you enter your data through a very quick form on Microsoft Access database, and you can export that to a spreadsheet, and then you can do all the pivot tables and formulas and everything else you want to do your data analysis. So I did that for a little while, and then I tried out Google Suite, Google Sheets, Google Form, and Google Sites. So a lot of you guys may remember early on with our medium wave frequency challenge, we're using Google Forms. And so that's where I kind of got started with that and kind of looking at those. So a couple of years ago, I started trying out my logbook this way, and I have not looked back. It has been amazing. So I want to give you guys just a very quick primer on what you can do here with these 3 Google products, okay? Google Forms, Google Sheets, and Google Sites. First, let's look at Google Forms. So you just go to Google Forms. So it's, just search Google Forms. You have to have a Google account, obviously, email account, which I do. And we're going to now go up here and go to blank form. And so we're going to title this, what do we want to title it? We want to call it AM Logbook. Okay. We're just going to call it AM Logbook. I have different ones for different locations, different things like that. You can put a description in if you want to. You can really fine tune this. We won't do the advanced features on how to change design and stuff like that. We'll probably save that for a video. But for today, we're just going to give you the basics here. So what you're doing is with this form, you're building your entry, all the stuff you would normally enter into your logbook. So for instance, let's say I want to start with frequency. Okay. And I'm going to make this a short answer. And the cool thing is I can even go in here. I can say response validation, these little 3 dots over here on the far right, go to response validation. And I can say, I want this to be a number that is between, let's say 529 and 1701. Okay. So that way, if you fat finger something and you type like 1755 or something instead of, 750 or whatever, you fat finger a frequency entry like I do sometimes, this will catch it. And you can actually put in your custom error text to say, check your frequency, right? Or whatever you want to put. You can make certain fields required. You can make certain fields not required. Although I would say probably if you're doing this for your own logbook, you know what fields you're going to be wanting to do, and you're probably going to have them all required anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Another thing, and then you'll go over here and click on the plus, and we're going to do another question. This one's going to be a call sign. Okay. And it's going to usually try to pick what it thinks is like the appropriate type of response you would give. In this case, a short answer. That's valid. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. And so with this one, you would type in either the call sign, or you would maybe type in the station name if it was like Radio Rebellion or something like that. So you might call this station received or something along those lines. But you're going to probably choose short answer for this one. Maybe you want to do city. Again, short answer probably. And then you want to do, let's say, state. And then I probably would do check boxes for state. And then you can just put in all the different options that are there, like, all the different states that you could possibly hear. I usually also will put an option in there for DX if it's something that's non-US, non-Canadian. So you might put all your Canadian provinces in there, all your states in the US. Maybe you want to also put in Mexican states if you're prone to hearing stations from Mexico and you want to try to get all the Mexican states. We have that here, but I'm just going to go ahead and do a couple here. We're going to do AL, AR, AZ, right? So you would just go down the list and create that. Now, when you're putting your entry in, you would just check the box of the station that it is. You can do check boxes or the state that it is. You can do those. You can also do a drop down. So your choice, whichever one's easier for you. Check boxes would have all of them displayed, and you would just check the one that you want. Drop down obviously is a pull down menu, and you're going to just select the option from the pull down list. So it's whichever way is easier and cleaner for you. Some other things you're probably going to put in there, obviously date and time of your reception. So you can put in date as a separate field here. Okay. Month, day, year. And there is an option here that says include time. I would not, just my personal, because I want time to be separate. So this would be date, reception. And if you're one of those folks that logs in UTC, you may want to notate that it's UTC date. And then time. And if you're a UTC person, you want to do UTC time there. And then your time is here. Now, I think if I remember correctly, the only thing that's kind of wonky about time is it's I think you can do 24 hours. It's going to take whatever you put in, but it's going to do it in like hours, minutes format. So you can't just like type in 23:45. You're going to have to type in 23 and then go to the next minutes area and go 45. That's a little bit of a pain, but it's not. You probably also want to notate things like what radio you were using if you're tracking that kind of stuff, or your antenna, your program details, things like that. But you're going to build out your entire form here with all your different fields. And then before you do anything else, you're going to say up here in responses up at the top, you would choose this here, link to sheets. Now, if you already have a sheet that you want to use, great. If not, I probably would create a brand new one if I were you. So click link to sheets and you can actually create a brand new one, but you can select an existing one if you want to. If you already have a Google sheet that you've already built that has your logs in it, you can do that. And then hit create. I'll show you why in a minute. You may not want to do that. Okay. Now it's going to create this for you. It's going to create this sheet. It's going to have a tab here for form responses. I don't like this. You do as you see fit. I don't like the formatting that they do here, so I always remove it. There's a little option here. You on the drop down for form responses up here. If you go to revert to unformatted data, that's what I do. So what this is going to do is every time you submit that form and you fill all your information out, it's going to put your log on this tab right here called form responses. Now, this is where it gets kind of like your personal preference. I like to have my most recent log at the top of my logbook. And then as you go down the rows, you're getting older and older and older and older logs. So this is going to be the opposite of that. It's going to always put your most recent log down at the bottom. So if that's what you prefer, if you want your most recent log at the bottom, by all means, this is your tab. This is everything you need right here. You don't have to do anything else. If you're like me and you want to have a different tab, or you want to have that the other way, because you can try to sort it, but it's still going to put it at the bottom. So what you can do is you can create another tab here and call it logbook. And basically you would just copy all of your fields the same way you have. Okay. And I would go ahead and include this timestamp column here, and it just helps you with the formatting, makes it cleaner. You can hide it though, and I do. Right? I hide that. And now you got frequency, you've got receive station, city, state, date, time, and so forth. You've got all your fields, and then you just copy it from here, your text, your row. You just highlight the row you want to copy, hit Control-C to copy, and then copy it on your, or paste it on your row on your spreadsheet here at the top. That's it. That's all you have to do to create your logbook. And so that's what I've done here. If you look at this guy, I've got my form responses here. So these are all the responses that are coming in from my form itself. And then over here under logbook, this is my most recent top. And then as you go down, it gets older. So this is all of my logbook using all those fields that I have entered into on the Google form. Now, in addition to the entries that I do on my Google form where I'm directly entering data there's additional data that I track that's not coming from the form. So for instance, maybe how many miles it is. Maybe I have that on the form. Maybe I don't. I do on my FM. I don't on the AM for some. The serial number. So this is telling me what number. This always keeps that serial number going, so I know what number it is. This is a formula that basically adds one to the row below it. So I don't enter that on my form. I used to, and I found it was very, very, very clunky, especially when I have to do cleanup later on. It became very clunky. So I just use this as a formula. And then there's also things like, was this during a gray line period? Because I have a special tracking that I do for that. What calendar year was it, and so forth. So some of this data is actually being produced by formulas, especially if you look at my FM logbook. That is very, very, very much what is my FM logbook. A lot of my FM stuff I get when I put a new log in my FM logbook. I've got all of, I want to say from here over, this is all formulas. From row X to row AE is all formulas, pulling stuff in. So you'll want to build this out, and depending on how tech savvy you are with spreadsheets and the Google Sheets and stuff like that, you may want to do like I've done. You may want to have different color formatting for your different fields. I put in here as well, I have a column here for my YouTube URL. So when I upload my air checks, I have the link right here, so I can, from my logbook, I can access my air check of a station if I want to do that. If I've uploaded that to YouTube, it's behind, as you can see. So anything you want to track, whatever it is you want to track. And then the next thing you want to do is depending on how deep you want to go down this rabbit hole, is you may want to start building pivot tables. Now, I go into detail about pivot tables on our logbook video that we already have on the channel. I'm going to be doing a new series specifically to Google Sheets. I'm going to talk about those on that video as well, and kind of how it works in Google Sheets, because it's pretty much the same, but it's a little different. It's actually a little better. I like Google Sheets way they do pivot tables way better than I do Excel. But you'll see here, for instance, we have different pivots for things like graveyards by frequency. So what states, how many logs do I have for each state on each graveyard frequency? You'll see here things like Canadian logs. How many different Canadian logs do we have? Different countries by different antennas, graveyard states. So all these different ways that I kind of look at my data, whether it be a table like this, or if I have a visual chart that I'm producing in Google Sheets, things like this. Whatever way I want to look at it, I can produce that here in Google Sheets using their charts, using their table views, or whatever it is you're going to do. You can produce all that here in Google Sheets. And then once you've done that, you've got all your pivot tables. And that's the cool thing about these pivot tables, by the way, is if you do it the right way, it will automatically update all the data for you. You don't have to do anything. Once you add that log to your logbook, automatically all of your pivot tables get updated and everything is there. And so your totals get updated. So if you were counting how many states you've heard and you add a new state in there, it's going to now update that for you. Then once you've done that, you can go over to Google Sites and you can create a web page for your logbook. And some of you guys have seen my logbook that we have here. I'm going to show you my medium wave one that we have really quick. My online logbook. So this is where there's a lot of rabbit hole you can go down here. So it really depends on how deep you want to go. But I've got counters that show like total logs, how many states, unique countries, furthest reception, stuff like that. My FM log has the same thing, by the way. We have all the stuff here at the top of how many stations we've heard, how many states, how many countries are furthest reception. We have the same thing on the FM. Other things that I want to include in here, like our web servers that we have, or online receivers. So on the FM, I have those. On AM, I have our Kiwis. That's just so it's easy access for me. If I'm already looking at this, I can just go. I don't have to go elsewhere, go to another link. It's right there. I also include like the actual logbook itself on here. Other things that I might use as DX tools, so like the solar terrestrial conditions here. A index 26, K index 2, by the way. Not a negative on the Bravo Zulu though. You'll see here's like my breakdown. Logs by frequency and time of day sorted by logs. Logs by frequency and time of day sorted by frequency, right? You'll also be able to see the logs by frequency. That's another table that I've got here. How many graveyard stations? All the different tables that I've built. That's all of these. And because I built them in Google Sheets and I'm doing this on a Google site, I can very quickly import these. And I'll do this in the video that we do. I can very quickly, I say, I want to pull in a chart. And so it goes and says, okay, what spreadsheet do you want to pull a chart from? And you choose the spreadsheet you want to use. And then it says, here's all the charts you've created. Which one do you want to pull in? So you just drag the one you want to put in, pop it in there. Now, there's some nuances to like some of the layout stuff. It can get a little wonky sometimes, but by and large, it's super, super easy once you kind of learn those nuances. It's super easy to do. And as you can see, it's all laid out exactly how I want it to be for my stuff. I've included some other things in here, like my grade circle map, my mapchart.net map. I include those in those images as well that I can upload whenever I update those. But like this is a Google sheet map right here. This is a Google sheet map right here. This is another map chart that I created manually. These are all tables in Google Sheets. So whatever you want to track, there's probably a way to do it by using formulas from pivot tables and things like that in Google Sheets. And you just create an extra tab with that table on it and all the different charts and stuff you want to have on there. You can pull it into Google Sites, and then you've got your online logbook. So anytime you want to know, what do I have? And I have this up. Whenever I'm DXing, I always have this up, right? I always have this up so I can say, okay, how many stations do I have in Texas right now? Well, I just heard a new one. Okay, well, there's now 138, right? So I can tell you very detailed information about my logbook. Why is this helpful? It's not about bragging about how many stations you have for Mexico or whatever it is. Why is this helpful? Because this helps you spot something that's missing in your logbook. Let me give you an example. So up here, I have my logs by frequency. I have it broken down by time of day and so forth. And here's the overall total. Now, I was looking at this list the other day and I noticed that 1220 was at like 6 logs. I was like, why do we only have 6 stations on 1220? I haven't really spent any time there for whatever reason. So I went and I tuned in 1220 and I started doing some DX. I was doing some IQ recordings and doing some live DX. And I heard like 3 new stations that night because I looked on here and I was like, I have a gap. 1220 is a gap for me. I need to spend some time on that. Maybe it's overall, maybe it's specifically at sunset or sunrise or whatever it might be. Wherever you see a gap in your logbook, that's an opportunity for you to get new stuff. So if you're one of the folks, I'm here, where it's like, man, every time I turn the radio on, I keep hearing the same stuff. Well, maybe it's because you keep de-icing the same way, the same frequency, same time of day, same radio, same antennas. This will show you where you can mix it up if you're doing your analysis. So that's why this is, to me, very, very important. It's not just about having the numbers to be able to say, I've heard of this many stations. I don't care. I want to know where are my holes at in my logbook so I can try to do something about that. When I was starting to look at my graveyard stats, I realized very quickly, I was like, okay, these are the frequencies I've spent no time on. These are the directions I've spent no time looking at my graveyard. So I was able to flush those out considerably just by being able to see that visually in my logbook. So, like I said, we're going to be doing a bigger deep dive into this logbook stuff, specifically with Google Suite, Google Form, Google Sheets, Google Sites, and how to do all this stuff. And we'll probably have a series on this one as well, because there's going to be the introductory stuff, like how to build it. And then there's going to be like the deeper dive on like really how to get into the analysis. That's going to be like hands-on. And that if I try to do it all in one video, it's going to be way too long. It'll be a multi-part series, I'm sure. But this is something, if you are one of the folks that want to wring that rag out of every drop of DX that you possibly can, this is how you can do it, right? So be very, very interested to see how folks get on if they're getting in here with Google Suite. I'm looking at some other options to try to change maybe the form that I use to enter, but I'm still going to be using Google Sheets and everything on the back end. Like, it's going to be maybe a different form provider that I'm using, but because I'm doing all this stuff with my website stuff anyway, but more than likely it's going to be still Google Sheets as the backbone of all the data. And then it's just taking that data and exporting it out into a new visual or whatever it might be if I'm not using Google Sites or whatever. So we'll continue to play with that. And like I said, we'll let you guys know when those videos come out. So let's see. Jeff says, yes, pivot tables. That's Jeff Immel, by the way. Notorious. Pivot tables will help sleuth out the gaps in your logbook. Yes, 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 they do. I have had so many times over the years where I've found, just by looking at my different tables, I found a gap that I there's 100 and something odd frequencies here, right? On the AM band or on FM, you have over 100. And you just like, have I not really DX'd this? How have I not done this? I did an analysis in my logbook. I had a list of all the 50 kilowatt nighttime stations that I got from Mesa Mike's website. I imported that into my logbook. I did a formula so I can say, okay, how many of these do I have in my logbook? And I found there were a bunch that I was missing. Some that I was like, how am I missing WHKW in Cleveland? Well, guess what? One of the 1220 stations was that I was able to snag. Right? So sometimes it's just like, I thought I had that one, but I guess I didn't. I thought I had that one in my logbook already. I don't know how I missed it, but there it is. And if you're doing this analysis, you can spot that stuff really nice and easy. All right, before we do, we're about to get to our announcement. So like I said, we'll be doing the video series on this coming up here pretty soon. Before we get to our announcement of our next live.com. Before we get to our next medium wave frequency challenge, I want to show you guys. Oh, I did it wrong. I typed in the wrong thing. Live. Here's our new website for DX Central Live. All right, so go check this out. This is our new website here. DXCentralLive.com. Why am I showing this to you? There's a couple things I want to make sure you guys know about. This is a great way you can always get right here where it says current episode. I'm always going to have the next episode or the one that we're like in line for linked right there. So after tonight, that's going to change. It'll be linked to episode 5. And then if you go down here, you'll see all the different seasons. So we've got all the seasons in here. Here's like season 5, for instance, and we've got all of the episodes linked. And you'll notice here I'm going through and I'm adding show notes as we go. Now I'm about episode 18 is where I left off. So I've got those left to do. But I'll be putting in notes about what we talked about, especially from some of those seasons where we started getting topical about like DX tips and stuff. You'll be able to search on these and find, hey, where did we talk about, common mode chokes is the one I always think of off the top of my head because we did that last year, right? Or where did we talk about the mini whip? you can just do a Control F and find it. Now, later on, another project, once I get all this show notes stuff done, a later project will be doing an indexing of all the show notes. So you can get to it a lot easier. But for now, you'll just be able to Control F it. So, and that is through season 6 even has show notes. All right, so we haven't put the ones for tonight up yet, but you can see even season 6 has show notes already. So dxcentrallive.com, the full archive of all 6 seasons. There you go. Speaking of that, it was actually me going through and watching all these old seasons that was the impetus behind our Patreon stuff. So I was looking at the season 1 stuff when we were just very raw, right? There wasn't anything topical. We were just doing DX. And I saw there was some FM stuff that I was doing, and I was like, man, I really want to do that, but I've always been scared because I got it one time. I got a copyright strike doing FM live streaming. And I was like, I can't sacrifice our overall YouTube channel we worked so hard to build to do an FMDX live stream. Well, guess what? Now we're going to do it, but we're going to do it on our super secret patron only YouTube channel. So if you want to be involved in some of these super secret live DX sessions that we do, including some FMDX sessions, go to patreon.com/DXCentral, sign up. It doesn't matter what level you're at. You'll be able to have access to the super secret patron only video channel, YouTube channel, that will have the live streams and some other patron only videos that we learn to do, like more advanced masterclass type stuff. So patreon.com/DXCentral, head on over, and that way you can be part of the fun, like, shh, don't tell anybody we're doing an FMDX stream. Speaking of fun stuff here, like streams and FM and fun times to do some DX, I think it's time we do a new medium wave frequency challenge. We're doing the Gray Line Challenge. So we did a version of this last year in season 4 of the challenge with our Spring Equinox Challenge. You guys may remember. But this one we're doing a little bit different. This is Gray Line only, so sunrise and sunset. Last year we did it around like an hour before, hour after. I'm tightening that up a little bit this year. We're going down to 45 minutes. So only the window between 45 minutes before your local sunset to 45 minutes after your local sunset. That's it. I'm gonna, if that still feels too wide, the next time we do it, we're gonna shrink it down to 30 minutes. But I feel like this is a good way to at least give us a chance to do some Gray Line DX, and do some Gray Line DX, but not have it so it's like so broad that we're getting more Skywave, especially this time of the year. I don't want to be getting a ton of Skywave in here. I want to really be focusing on that Gray Line stuff when you're getting that Gray Line enhancement. So we're going to narrow it down. 45 minutes before your local sunset, 45 minutes after, and same thing with sunrise. 45 before your sunrise, 45 after your sunrise. So the Gray Line Challenge starts tonight here at the top of the hour. I got to update the website here in a bit to make that form active, so give me a few seconds and that'll be ready. So go to dxchallenges.com and then click on the challenges option. It'll navigate you through as usual. If you haven't yet registered to do that challenge stuff, you're going to want to make sure that you do. So go to, again, dxchallenges.com just dxchallenges.com, and then register. We did have a couple of little snafus with the website last night, but that's been cleared out. And that was just, there was a bot attack, and I actually found some stuff, some comments that had been siphoned over and quarantined in Russian and stuff. So, hey guys, hey, if you're watching, if the Russian hackers over there watching, no, we're still there. So yeah, dxchallenges.com, and then we'll get your get your form up here in a bit, and you can submit your logs for the Gray Line Challenge. And this is a good time to do it because we're about to go to daylight savings on the Sunday. So you have a day or so in here to get in some good stuff. And then once we do change over to standard time, November is one of those months where we're getting darker and darker and darker earlier and earlier and earlier as we go later in the month. So since the sunset sunrise times are based on the 15th of the month, those first 2 weeks, you're going to have a little bit more of this like darkness path where there's, they're in darkness already and different things like that. So you're going to have some really unique conditions over the next couple of weeks that you don't really see any other time of the year. So looking forward to the Gray Line Challenge. Let us do DX. We're going to go over here to the shortwave central Kiwi, which is now facing at 330 degrees. And we're going to see what we can find. Taking your requests. What frequency you want us to do? An hour and a half total. Yep, you got it, Rick. Does it have to be in the Gray Line? No. Just needs to be in that time frame. I mean, ideally, that's what I'm hoping you're going to get, is some stuff that's being enhanced by the Gray Line, but it's just during the time frame. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be in the Gray Line. They don't have to be in the Gray Line, but you're DXing during that time. So you're going to be in some mostly Gray Line during that time anyway, your local condition, your local location, but as long as it's during that 45-minute buffer either side of your local sunset sunrise, whatever you get, right? So there will be some skywave stuff in there. You're going to have some 50 kilowatters making their way in. That's fine. No, we know that's going to happen. But really the focus here is to get you DXing during that time to hopefully give you some stuff you don't normally see. That's really the goal here, what we're trying to do. So if you get some stuff you already get, great. But I'm really hoping you're going to get some stuff you don't normally see because maybe you hadn't spent some time on those frequencies. 890 AM might be a good spot to try in Mandeville. All right, we'll go to 890 and see. Now we're pointing north, so it's probably going to be Chicago, WLS, more than likely. But let's see what we got.
For an all-new season as we dive into the issues the mainstream media won't touch. We revisit the horrors of October 7th and expose how the world still refuses.
Anyone else have any requests? Get those in here for us. The DX here for our top of the hour alert as we get closer.
Our campuses and even our churches. We talk about billionaires funding hate.
This is WLS.
Our youth and the moral collapse of America's institutions. And we also talk about faith and the biblical responsibility we all share to stand.
You guys are doing some shortwave pirates tonight. We can go check out some of those frequencies. Where are you at?
It's a call to action. You can find On the Front Line Season 2 on the Mark.
Halloween's always fun for that. Give me a pirate frequency.
Podcast. Subscribe now and stand with us in support of Israel. Silence.
Yeah, Barry, I almost did 30 minutes, but I was like, let's just see how 45 goes, and next year we can always adjust it if we need to. But I want to tighten that down a bit, so it's really just Gray Line enhancement that you're getting. XFM's on 6850. Let's see.
Yeah, that.
Not hear him on the shortwave central. Let's see if we have him here on DX Central. $6955 is another one. See, we have him on the mini whip. That's noisy as all get out, huh? All right, let's try 6955. Mama Seed, if you're in the chat, I know you're all about the pirates as well. If you got a frequency for us. Mom loves the pirates. The pirates love Mom. Wolverine on 6970. Are they in a sideband, by the way? Well, all right. Probably upper sideband. We got some slow scan. We're gonna look at the sunset sunrise times. I'm gonna show you guys a website you can use to kind of do some research on that.
DX Central Live, top of the hour alert.
Barry's got a pirate on 1709. Not seeing him here. And not seeing him on the northwest. Let's see if they're on the mini whip. Well, there's a carrier. I don't know how real that is. Probably just noise. On the West Super Loop. Nothing there. Let's go to 1709 here on the Shortwave Central Kiwi. Do we have anything down here? Nope. Sunrise sunset maps. I haven't got them up there on the Kiwi yet. I haven't scanned them in. I think there was a website you would send me a link for, right? If so, I don't remember if I do or not. Shoot that over to me in Slack and I'll take a look. I don't remember where it was. Let me take you to my favorite gray line frequency. Mic off. There was an ID. I'll have to go back in and do the replay to catch that. There was an ID in there from a station. I'm just not sure who that was. There we go. Turn those off. Okay. All right. When we come back, we'll do a quick break. When we come back, we're going to do a real quick wrap up on the Gray Line Challenge talk. We're going to look at some sunset, sunrise times, look at the Gray Line, and how it kind of lines up so you can kind of know how to calculate that for your location. Again, FCC does their, that was 1580, Stu. Yeah, I was hearing that too, but then they ID'd, and I couldn't grab the ID out of the muck. The FCC, the sunrise, sunset times that you as a station would have to abide by are based off whatever your sunrise, sunset is on the 15th of the month. And then it breaks it into like these little 15-minute increments. So, well, like 5:30, 5:45, 6 o'clock, 6:15, 6:30, and so forth. So we'll look at that, and then you can I'll take you to a website here that you can use to look at your sunset, sunrise times between now and then. And then you can also use that to look at maybe, so if you have some target stations you want to target, you can look at their sunset, sunrise times between now and then. So you can see when you might have a good darkness path between you and them to get them in. 1580 is a great frequency for that, historically at least. So we'll talk about some other frequencies and why that was so good, and some other frequencies you might be able to use that will maybe do the same thing. So don't go anywhere, my friends. We got a whole bunch to get to. We got SDRs to talk about. We got a ton more shout-outs. Man, we are bumping tonight here on DX Central Live. So go nowhere, my friends. More DX Central Live is heading your way right after this.
DX Central, because we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central. DX Central Live is brought to you in part by...
From long wave to satellites, medium wave through HF, ham radio to scanners. If you can DX it, the Spectrum Monitor has you covered. Editor and publisher Ken Reitz has assembled a who's who of radio writers to share their knowledge and expertise from a wide range of DX-related topics. Each month, the Spectrum Monitor's columnists dive into their specialties to give readers tips, tricks, the latest news and station updates, and more. The Spectrum Monitor also provides a monthly assortment of feature articles that give in-depth insight into the past, present, and future of DXing. You can get a full year of the Spectrum Monitor for only $24. Individual issues from the current year are available for $3 each. You can also purchase previous years of the Spectrum Monitor in their entirety for as low as $12. For more information, visit thespectrummonitor.com. That's thespectrummonitor.com. For more than 90 years, the National Radio Club has been at the forefront of providing DXers with the latest in station news, DX-related technical information, and reception reports from DXers around the world. The NRC's AM radio log is the most expansive and detailed resource of station information for U.S. and Canadian radio stations that is available in any format. The club's publication, the DX News, is available in both print and electronic format and provides the latest information on call letter and format changes, construction permits, and other information to help keep DXers informed of the latest updates they may hear on the air. For more information, visit their website at nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org. The International Radio Club of America gives DXers incredible value by putting important station information right at your fingertips. The club's e-publication, the DX Monitor, includes DXer loggings, station information updates, international loggings, and more. Other club publications include the IRCA Mexican Log, a must-have resource for any DXer that chases stations from Mexico, the TIS-HAR list, the IRCA slogan list, sunset sunrise maps, and DXer technical guides. The joint IRCA-NRC email reflector and groups.io group is a hub for real-time DX conditions, station news, and DX-related conversation. For more information, visit ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org.
Can't get enough DX? Then the DX Central from the Static podcast is for you. Take DX Central on the go and listen to episodes from DX Central Live, interviews with prominent members of the DX community, tips, tricks, how-tos, your DX memories and stories. And that's just the start. You You can find the From the Static podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Listen Notes, or anywhere you get podcasts, or by visiting FromTheStatic.net. That's FromTheStatic.net. For stories, signals, and voices from across the airwaves, don't miss the DX Central From the Static podcast.
Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central. From the DX Central North Shore Studios, this is DXC Live. Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
It's DX Central Live from the North Shore Studios here in beautiful Mandeville, Louisiana. Dear Stephanie, thank you for being here as always, my friend. Saw Mexico Mike J showed up, so I thought a little dream pop might tickle your fancy. I know you like it. Little beach house fan as well. We're talking about the Gray Line Challenge. So we just launched the Gray Line Challenge, and I'm going to go over here right now while I'm thinking about it, and we're going to make sure that this is up and running for you guys so that you can get to the form. So give me a second to get in here, logged in, and get that taken care of. Let me get that. So one of the things that you can do to actually help yourself out here, and knowing how to target certain stations or kind of when your time frames might be that are going to apply for Gray Line on your side. There is a website you can go to. It's called timeanddate.com. I'll go ahead and link it here. Throw this in the chat for you guys. I'm going to show you how to get to this information. Gray Line Challenge. Oh, that's not one of the two. Sorry, guys. I can't do it in advance. If I do it in advance, it's gonna. I have to do it after the release. So, publish. Okay, now we're good. So let's go up here to the website, timeanddate.com. And if you go here to timeanddate.com, you'll notice if you scroll down here, there's a couple things you can do. You can put in your location, and it'll give you some information about your specific location. You can also go over here down towards the bottom, and you'll see an area that says sun, moon, and space. And the first one there is sunset and sunrise and sunset. So we're going to go there first. So you can search for a particular city. So if you have a target station, say I'm looking for Yankton, South Dakota, because I want to get that station on 570. Did I spell it wrong? Yankton, not Yankston, Yankton. All right. This will show you if I just want to do some research on the location. My bad. See, I don't live up in that area. This will show you sunset, sunrise times for different times of the year. You can hover over this, and it'll actually, you see here, it's changing. So right here is October 31st, and you can see when you enter like nighttime, astronomical twilight, nautical twilight, all this kind of stuff. Then we go to November 1st. Boop, there it is. You can see the change. boop, boop. The whole shift here as we get into November 2nd and 3rd. You can see the shift when we do the daylight savings time switch. So this could be a good way for you to kind of get an idea because, like I said before, the FCC does their dates based on the 15th. So I can look here and I can see for them, they enter astronomical twilight around 6:44 p.m. Their sunset... You look here, it's October, let's go to November. Scroll down towards the bottom, you'll see the whole chart here. So sunrise and sunset. So this is the date, right, or the time right here. On the 15th of the month, their sunrise is at 7:32. So guess what? Their sunrise time for the month of November will be around 7:30. Their sunset time on the 15th is 5:05. So their sunset time for the entire month of November is going to be around 5 o'clock. So as I'm over here, their sunset is actually happening at 5:20, but let's say it's 5 o'clock. Now I'm in Central Time just like they are. So if they're supposed to power down at 5 o'clock, that means at 5:20 they've already powered down. They've already switched their power. So I'm going to need to get a little earlier to get to that, right? So this is how you can help yourself research. This also comes in handy when we do the reverse and we're going the other way. And you're adding daylight, this can be really handy for that time of the year as well. So you're going to have, as we look at this the way the gray line kind of looks, and if we look at on the gray line map that Jacob sent over, these straight lines that go this way, kind of from the right-hand side of the top right-hand corner towards your west, those long straight lines, those are sunset. The hash lines are sunrise. Now, these maps come from the IRCA and the NRC, so you can go to like IRCA online to their publications area, and you can order these maps. So you have them, and you can kind of notate them for your own location. So, as an example here, for the month of November, this tells me where the sunset and sunrise. Now, let's look at this sunset. So this is a 00. Look at that. South Dakota, Yankton is right there in the 00, just like we talked about. So that 5 o'clock, right there in that swath, that's going to be their sunset time for the entire month of November. So you can actually see here on this map where the gray line and the sunsets are going to be, and you can anticipate what kind of paths you might have. So for me, my time frame and Yankton are the same time. So whenever they're having their sunset, I'm having my sunset around the same time, or sunrise, vice versa. So when they are powering down at 5 o'clock, now I'm probably also in darkness as well. So maybe it might work, maybe it may not. I have to back my time a little bit where we're starting to get that enhancement before the actual sunset happens, right? You start seeing that a little bit before. So I'm going to be looking before my sunset time if I'm looking for Yankton. And I'm going to be looking on 570 to try to get away from like Dallas over here, which their power down happens a little bit later on. Their power down happens, depending on where they are on this line, either 15 or 30 minutes later, okay? So I've got a little bit of a window in here where I might have a shot at them before their antenna pattern changes. You can do the same thing on sunrise. Now, sunrise is also a really good time. Sunset's a really good time for transatlantic stuff, looking over towards Europe and Africa and so forth. Sunrise is the opposite. You're looking down west towards Asia and down southwest towards Australia, New Zealand. And you say, oh, there's no way I can hear that. People do. People hear them. And then not just the folks on the West Coast, people inland. And, you know, now with the technology and the SDR technology that we have to be able to do these recordings and stuff, it's happening more frequently than it did 30 years ago. So we have people who are hearing like Marshall Islands or Kiribati and down into Australia and stuff like that. So those mornings, sunrises, those are good times to try to take a look and see, because you've got that little bitty window where you've got that gray line enhancement. Once the sun comes up down there, it's over. Once the sun rises, it's over. But you've got that little bitty window, or I'm sorry, once they're in daylight and you're in daylight, you got this little bitty window where you guys kind of share the gray line, where you can get those stations down in the South Pacific or out in Asia. So sunrise is really good looking to your west. Sunset's really good looking to your east. Domestically, you're going to get a full swath of it domestically. This is where I used to sit on. This is a tactic that my dad taught me many years ago. I would sit on 1580 and I would just park it at sunset, like an hour before my local sunset, 30 minutes before my sunset. And I would stay there for like an hour, 2 hours, sometimes after my local sunset. And as the gray line went across, you would have the stations that would fade up because you're getting that enhancement from the gray line, and then they're gone. And then the next one, they're fading up, and then they're gone. Back in the day, you would get sign-offs. Back when I first started this, you would get sign-offs at those times when they were kind of coming up because they're in the gray line now. It's their sunset, so they're signing off. So you get these sign-offs with full IDs and everything. Now you just get those fade-ups. You hope you get an ID out of them. But frequencies like 1580, where you have a lot of these regional kind of lower-powered stations that can kind of fade up along the gray line, that's a great frequency. Any of these, 1570 is the other one that we used to do. 1570, 1580 were the two main ones. Any of these frequencies where you can do it on clear channel frequencies as well, because you might have some of these lower powered stations that can kind of fade up, but usually your Skywave big 50 kilowatters are kind of booming in and owning those frequencies, kind of bullying those other ones out a little bit. Doesn't mean you can't get them underneath or use a co-channel canceller, but it's gonna be a little more difficult. But your regional frequencies especially are super, super good, where you have maybe you don't have a dominant station there, but you got some lower powered stations that kind of can fade up, take the top spot, and then fade out. Those are really, really good for that. Graveyarders. I know we just spent all the last 3 weeks in the graveyard, but also graveyard is really, really good for sunset and sunrise, because the same thing, you get those fade ups because you have that enhancement from the gray line itself, the actual gray line of the sunset that enhances. Signals can travel along that gray line. That's how I got Paraguay. That's how I've gotten Argentina, was those signals traveling the gray line up. They're boosted by that gray line. Okay. So, using these maps, using like timeanddate.com, things like that, you can use that to help you research where some opportunities might be for you to target some of these stations over the next 2 weeks, and hopefully get them in your logbook. And this is a really good time of the year to do it. Spring is also a really, really good time of the year to do it. So definitely check it out. All right. Let's look at some shout outs real quick, and then we're going to talk about SDRs for AMDX. So first, it's shout out time.
Shout out loud, hear the call for every signal, big or small, from AM to FM to C to C. We celebrate the ones who slag the IT. Shout out loud, let it be known, you're never DXing all alone. Through the static we found our way, shout outs making waves today.
Excellent point, Jacob. As always, you are absolutely right. I'm going to drop this link here in the chat. If you want to know where the gray line is, and maybe what can kind of be heard along those gray lines, this is a great website for that. In fact, I use this. This is one of the things that I use to help me get Argentina and Paraguay, was the KiwiSDR map. The map that shows where all the different KiwiSDR locations are. So I had the gray line here on the backside, right here along Argentina, along the South America coast, right along Argentina, and then in the Paraguay. And so when that was going on, I was down on their receivers listening, and then I was on my receiver listening, and they faded up. And then 10 minutes later, they were gone. Out. Because sunlight had appeared. They were no longer under darkness, no longer under gray line. It was now daytime there, and boop, they were gone after about 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes tops. So that's a really good resource. Let's do the shout outs though, real quick. All right, we left off with our friend Guy Atkins. Guy says, "My Something Else is a fun foreign language version of the Beatles' All My Lovin'." Hey, Mama Seed, if you're there in the chat, what did we do Wednesday night? We went and saw Paul McCartney down in the Blender down in the city, the Smoothie King Center. My second time getting to see Sir Paul. Amazing show. A presumed Marshallese version of All My Lovin' by the Beatles. Probably been recorded in every single language on the planet. On 1098 kilohertz Marshall Island. See, I was just talking about it. Just talking about those guys. Guess what? When that was probably heard? From Washington, guys in Washington. Sunrise. Recorded this from nearby Grayland Beach State Park in Washington using a Perseus and a Aziloop antenna on October 17th. The Marshall Islands is a fairly regular visitor in this part of the United States, and I enjoy their native music. However, this is the first time I've heard a presumed local cover of a Beatles tune from the Marshalls. Well, let's take a gander. Yeah, that was definitely what that was. All right, guy, thank you, man. Appreciate you jumping in here. I know that wasn't a new log for you, so we'll give you the horn of victory for bringing that one into the show this week. John Johnson in Arizona. The Graveyard Challenge is always a challenge for me, with locals on 1230, 1340, and 1400. On 1240, I have a station 60 miles away. 1450 and 1490, I have stations within 100 miles that battle each other. However, did manage to hear 35 stations for the challenge. Plus, I logged a new station, KWXY, 1340 in Cathedral City.
California.
For our 192nd logging from
California.
This brings my Mesa loggings to 919. Well done, man. Well done. On the new stations from
California.
I also love Simon's World Map. Simon, by the way, for those of you who are not familiar, is the guy who developed SDR Console, or develops SDR Console. He also originally did Ham Radio Deluxe, and then he sold it. So that was originally his software, but now he does Simon's World Map and SDR Console. That is your trivia for today. Mexico Mike J down in Mexico, as you might think. 5 new graveyard catches from the U.S. to bring my total to 11 during the challenge. 1450 KOBE in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and 4 on 1240 WMSD in South Haven, Mississippi, KWAK in Stuttgart, Arkansas, KTAM in Bryan, Texas, and KIAA in Globe, Arizona. Well done, my friend. Outstanding as always to see the stuff you're getting from down there, man. I mean, stations that I hear here locally, you're getting them from down there in Mexico. That's freaking awesome. All right, our friend Stuart has a couple in here as well. One from last week and one from this week. After getting back into AMDX over the past couple nights, I was pleasantly surprised to hear a plethora of low-power stations on my CC Radio 2E at distances way further than I could have imagined. A huge thank you to Sean KX9X for posting Tim's AM station lookup and distance tool on Slack. And for those of you who are not familiar with that tool, our friend Killcat7, Tim Tromp up in Michigan, the DX magnet, literally. There's his site you can use as a station list. Wealth Radio 1370 WLTH in Gary, Indiana, 9 watts, 190 miles. Music for Your Life 1010 WIOL in New Boston, Ohio, 22 watts at 249 miles. News Talk 1070 KILR in Esterville, Iowa, 48 watts at 566 miles. 1220 WSLM in Salem, Indiana. Heard them the other night. It's a relog. Nice. Good job, man. 82 watts at 281 miles. Additionally, I thought what Lloyd would like to know, I logged 2 new Louisiana stations. I would. 1130 The Tiger, KWKH in Shreveport. 862 miles over my local WDFN. Very nice. And EWTN on 690 WQLO, QLO in New Orleans, 917 miles. So, first we got to do a little bowl of that gumbo. Well done, man. We also have some more in here for you. Had amazing success recently on AM side with my CC Radio 2E, hitting 4 goals in 1 week. Oh, man. Started on Saturday night when Tim on the west side of the state, that's Michigan, by the way, reported several Pacific Northwest stations on the Slack channel. I decided to tune my radio to 1550, and lo and behold, received ethnic South Asian talk on KRPI in Ferndale, Washington. Clip is attached. Confirmed via their live stream. This catch gave me a new distance record of 1,909 miles and my goal of getting the West Coast a reality. My man. So that would be, new state, yeah. I next wanted to aim for specific states, so I chose to go after South Carolina and Florida. Meanwhile, through the rest of the weekend, I racked up more distant, low-powered stations. The True Oldies Channel 1010 WPCN in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, 10 watts at 332 miles. 1440 The Eagle WZYX in Cowan, Tennessee, 66 watts at 506 miles. They get out pretty well. Real Country 95.7 and 1360 WFLW in Monticello, Kentucky, 20 watts at 381 miles. Other great catches includes 730 XEX in Mexico City, 1,819 miles. La Única 1680 WTTM in Lindenwold, New Jersey, 484 miles, new state. Man, that's one I want bad. I want that one bad. 1300 The Bet, WJZ in Baltimore, 417 miles. That's also a new state. By Tuesday night, notice that I was getting a Spanish station on 800 over top of my local CKLW. I was mistaking it for XCROK, not knowing that they've been silent for years. I think so, right? I think, were they the ones last year that was in there and all messy, nasty Mexico Mike? I can't remember if that was them or not. But someone on 800. So I decided to pose the question on the Slack channel as to what the mystery signal was. In the meantime, I started hearing Spanish on 1070 and finding out through my limited knowledge of the language that I had La Jefa, WCSZ in Sanssouci, South Carolina, 513 miles, clip attached. Man, I used to live backdoor from those guys. It was annoying. They were notoriously bad for staying on after dark. They are much better at it now. Achieving my goal of getting South Carolina, very nice. Then searched for a list of high-power Florida stations and immediately came across 540 WFLF in Pine Hills, 966 miles. Matched the stream with what I was hearing for another goal achievement. Decided my next goal was to go after New Canadian Province, and with the gracious help of the Slack community, I found a few targets to choose and chase. On Wednesday night, I started comparing the background signal on 990 underneath my local WDEO with the stream of CBW in Winnipeg at 838 miles and got them. Heard an ID for WNML in Knoxville, Tennessee, 431 miles, but after a while, I suddenly heard French Canadian pop music playing through on the CBW stream. Both of the more local stations were carrying talk programs and female voices, making it relatively easy for me to match the background French Canadian music then from my radio with the CBW stream, checking up my fourth goal for the week. Meanwhile, Mexico Mike was kind enough to help me ID that Spanish station on 800 as PJB Radio in the Antilles, Netherlands Antilles Bonaire, clip attached. Giving me another new distance record of 2,281 miles and what I believe is my first Latin American signal heard. So we've got a bunch of stuff to get you in here, man. We got milestones achieved. Mexico Mike, all it takes is that one station that you're interfering with to be like, wait a minute. Like, let's say WWL is sitting there on 870 and that station up in Oklahoma decides, I'm not going to turn that off now. Is it W or KFEO, I think is their call sign? Or maybe they're in Texas. One of those, yeah. All it takes is them coming in here in New Orleans and the FCC gets a phone call from a station like WWL, and now some of your lower powered or like regional channel stuff, maybe if they interfere with someone, maybe. But you get a big gun like that complaining, that they do take that seriously. That I know. Goals were also met by our friend Stuart up in Michigan. Thank you for being here, man. You got a new Latin American station. Oops. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's see. You also got a new state. We're gonna do that one. You got new logs. You got new countries. We're not done though, because you all know what time it is now. Ladies and gentlemen, please move your hats, stand at attention, and Berta. All right, well done. Well done, Stuart, man. Congratulations on a impressive haul. We have a chance here in a little bit. We'll try to play some of those clips here a little bit later on. And man, that's an impressive haul. Keep it up. And all that's with a portable radio, by the way. Portable radio. That just shows you what you can get. You can do great things with a smaller radio. It doesn't have to be the big gun SDRs. You can do that. Oh, he also did have, I forgot. You know what? I forgot one. WPCN Stevens Point in Wisconsin. Well done, man. That was an impressive haul. And in the words of what I said, was it last year, 2 years ago, for our friend Sean Cusco, Stuart had himself a week. So there we go. Well done, man. All right, for our next topic of conversation, again, you can still send your shout-outs in if you have not yet gotten it in. No worries. We got plenty of time here. We are now caught up. I'm double-checking. We are now caught up. If you have a log you submitted and you haven't heard it yet, send it again. But we should now be caught up. I'm not seeing anything in here. Yeah, everything looking good. We should now be caught up. All of our shout-outs. Feel better. Feel much, much better. Didn't like being backed up on shout-outs. Let's talk about SDRs. This is a question that I got recently. I get a lot, actually. I get a lot of questions about what SDR is the best for this, or what radio is the best for this, or antenna, or whatever. And it's a common question you see a lot in general in social media on any kind of DX, AM, FM, shortwave, ham radio. It doesn't matter. Everyone wants to know what's the. I want to get the one SDR that rule them all, right? It's the Lord of the Rings, One Ring philosophy. There's not one. I'm just gonna rip off this Band-Aid right now. There's not one SDR to rule them all. There's a very close contender. But even that particular contender has a couple of shortcomings that we're going to talk about. But there are several SDRs that you'll do very, very well with. And it depends, though, on your budget. It depends on how you DX, what you want to do with your DX, and so forth. So let's look at a couple of the more common SDRs that are out there and how they kind of perform specifically for AM DX. We're not talking about FM here. We're talking specifically for AM DX. We'll cover FM on a later show as we get closer to FM season. So right off the rip, let's talk about what I consider one of the best SDRs for AMDX, and that's this one here, the AirSpy HF Plus Discovery. And why is this one so good? Why do we always talk about? I feel like sometimes, and I'm going back and I'm watching these live streams, it's like I'm always talking about this SDR. Why? It's because it's that good. Okay. It's really, really good at pulling in weak signals. It's got a really strong, really good sensitivity, really good selectivity. It's not prone to like images and spurs natively inside the SDR itself. It's not prone to overload. I live in an area with a ton of transmitters, but even people who live in areas that are way more RF saturated than even here in the New Orleans area where I am, they don't have overload problems with this thing. You can beat it to death, right? RF wise, and it's going to take it. It's got a great amount of high dynamic range. What that means is you've got a lot of room between your noise floor and like when that overload would really start. So you got a huge amount of headroom that you have for your DX. The noise floor built into the radio itself is super, super low, and it does really, really well at even like passive weak antennas like the U-Loop, $35 U-Loop. It's just a wire and a couple of little dongles that you plug into, and then that's it. It's a tiny little loop, but it does really, really good. Well, it's able to do that specifically with HF Plus Discovery because of that high dynamic range that exists there on the SDR. So pros, it is super, super good on AM. It is fantastic, but it also covers like HF and some of these other bands, FM, things like that you might want to also do. It's got that full coverage, right? But specifically on AM, very high dynamic range, very good on sensitivity and selectivity, very adverse, and it is not prone to overload. So if you have a active antenna or an amplified antenna, like if you're running like one of the W6LVP loops or like a Wellbrook amplified CAS or something like that, like an FLG 100LN, it's not, I mean, my Perseus would overload, my RSPDX would overload, my Kiwi would overload. The AirSpy just never did. It when I was using FLG 100LNs, the AirSpy never overloaded when all the other radios that I own did. That I don't know what else to tell you other than that right there. Now, there's a con. It's a pretty big one for some people. That is that it doesn't cover the entire AM band at once when you're doing a recording. You cannot record the entire AM band from 530 to 1700 all at once. My counter to that is you can cover a pretty big chunk. Like you can do, I think it's 530 to like, I don't remember off the top of my head, 12 something, 13 something. And then you can do the other half of the other upper end of the band to get you down to like 990, 980 from the top of the band down. You can do a big chunk of the band. And I find that it doesn't really prevent me from doing anything. And if it's that big of a deal, you can get two. And that brings me to my next point. It's super well priced. Like it's like $160, $169, which can be a lot for some people, but for a good portable, you're going to spend about $100 for a portable radio. With an SDR like this, the AirSpy. Show you this. For those who may be unfamiliar, this is it. This is this little guy right here, right? This is the SDR. It's tiny. It's really good for portable DX. I've got several here at the house because I have different applications I do for portable, FM, AM, auto loggers, all kinds of different stuff. You have a USB port on one side and the SMA connector on the other, and you need some software. Now we're talking about specifically the hardware here, not the software. You can use whatever software you want, SDR Sharp, SDR Console. There's pluses and minuses for all those. We're not getting into that. We're just talking about the hardware itself, and that is the SDR itself. This is the AirSpy HF Plus Discovery. Fantastic little receiver, okay? The next one we're going to talk about is the RSPDX R2, and by extension, some of the RSP type SDRs from SDR Play, specifically the RSPDX R2, because that specifically is their SDR that is kind of competing here with the Discovery as far as long wave, medium wave, low band HF performance with a high dynamic range. Now, you have to engage that high dynamic range purposefully in their software or an SDR console, there's an API that'll give it to you. But you have to engage that HDR for you to be getting the benefits of it, where there it's just that it just does it, right? But that is kind of nice to be able to switch it on when you need it. It works. It does a really, really good job. I've DX'd now. I had the original RSP DX for years and years and did a great job with that. A lot of DX coming in from that sucker. The R2 actually improves upon it. The original RSP DX design. It's even better dynamic range, much quieter. It has 2 antenna ports. Actually, it has 3. You have an A and a B, and then you have a C, which is B and C, but the other 2 are SMAs. Now, those are not discrete inputs, okay? I want to make sure I'm very clear about that. This RSP DX has 3 antenna inputs, 2 SMAs, 1 B and C, but they are not discrete. So what I mean by that is they're not independent channels. So you can't say, I'm going to plug in 2 antennas and record everything on antenna A and antenna B at the same time. It's whatever one you're engaged in, that's what you're getting. So if you're on B, you're getting B. If you're on A, you're getting A. You can't do those separate. There's another SDR if you want to do that. We're going to talk about that in a second. But specifically for the R2 here, it's you select which antenna you're going to work off of, but it does really, really good at AM. It does pretty good at FM, I think, overall. Yeah, it's pretty good at FM. And it's great at HF as well. So if you're looking for, again, a nice broad coverage receiver, the R2 is fantastic. If you put a gun to my head and say, okay, Lloyd, which of these SDRs are you going to choose, the HF Plus Discovery or the R2? I'm going to choose the Discovery. It's cheaper, not a considerable amount, but like $40 or whatever. I'm going to choose the AirSpy because I don't have to adjust the gain. The RSP DX, R2s, and these other SDR Play SDRs, I have to purposely back down the gain to prevent like overload and stuff. I don't have to do that here. It just works. So especially someone who's a little bit newer and just wants to get in there and just play and have a go at the DX, it just works, right? The R2 is fantastic, though. You can use SDR Connect. You can use SDR Uno software, SDR Console, HD SDR. It does a really good job. And you do have the entire AM band coverage on that one SDR. You can get the entire thing. You can go up to like 10 megahertz. You can get like half the FM band. Probably going to be peaking out 6 to 8 megahertz depending on your PC. But you can get pretty good on that. As far as your bandwidth for like FM and stuff, but AM, you can do the entire AM band, no problem. You get a 2 megahertz swath. You're getting a little bit outside of the band even. It's going to work great, okay? There's a couple of other RSP or SDR Play SDRs here that I want to talk about. One of them is the Duo. So I talked about how the R2 has those multiple antenna inputs, but they're not discrete independent channels. The Duo does. You have 2 antenna inputs, both SMAs you see right here on the screen here. And those are discrete independent channels. So I can hook up, for instance, on FM, I do this all the time, my Yagi and an omnidirectional. And so on one I've got the Yagi, one on the Omni on the other, and I can record those independently. Now you have to use special software to record that independently, but you can do that. Conversely, for FM, as an example, if you use SDR Connect software or SDR Uno software, you can use those 2 independent channels to do phasing live, right? So when you're live DXing, you have software phasing that you can do with the RSP Duo using those 2 independent antennas. You can't do recorded phasing if you're using the SDR Play software, either the Connect or the Uno. You can with a combination of like LinRad. You can do it in there. You can also do LinRad and WaveView DX. I haven't gone down that road. That's coming soon. I'm hoping I'm going to start kind of dabbling my toes in that. But there is more flexibility here. If phasing is important to you and you want to have like software enabled phasing for you to do, there's some different options you can explore utilizing the Duo. Now, is it as good at AM as, say, the RSP DX? No, it is not. Is it prone to overload? Yeah, it is, especially on the AM side. I use this more for FM, but I do want to spend some time with it on the AM because I know folks like Jeff Immel, he has some great success with it. Rick has got some success that he's had with it. Rick Knuth, Knuth, I always get his last name wrong, and a couple other folks that are using the RSP Duo very successfully to record the independent channels and then do phasing after the fact in either LinRad or WaveView DX or whatever. So I do want to go down that road. I have to date really mostly used this as an FM machine, so I'm not going to be equipped to tell you how good it is at AM with those phasing capabilities. But folks like Jeff and some of the others, they live and swear by it. So I take their word on that, and I take that very seriously because they're phenomenal DXers, and I trust their judgment. So is it as good as an RSP DX by itself? No, but you can do some things there you can't do elsewhere. So there's kind of your benefit. A lot of folks talk about the Perseus still. It's been out since like the 2000s, like mid 2000s. Why is it still there? Why is it still so important? Because it does a really good job. Is it worth $950? I don't know. I mean, there was a time recently when it was a little bit cheaper than that. Ham radio outlets where I would recommend you go to buy it. But maybe it's because they just have a very low stock on them right now. It's still a very good SDR. And I'm talking about the original Perseus, not the Perseus 22 they have now. It's like $2,800. I'm talking about this one. You get the full band on this one, full AM band. It's performance. I put it right there equal with the Air Spy as far as like sensitivity and selectivity. Now, it's more prone to overload than the Air Spy is. Okay. I've had to back off and use attenuation, like 10, 20 dB of attenuation at times with this thing. And it's the software that you can use an SDR console, you can use it in the Perseus software that's native for it. And there's the Jaguar software that so many of us love and swear by, and it is amazing software. So is it worth $950 today? Plus, if you're going to use Jaguar, another $50, $60 for the Jaguar software. I don't know. I don't know if I would say that over $1,000 today is worth the DX you would be getting for $160 on the Air Spy, or even if you had to double it up and do $320 for 2 Air Spies. I don't know. That's up to you. I have the Perseus because I always wanted one, and I wanted a Jaguar. That's the only reason I got one. But it is still a fantastic. There's a reason it's still used in 2025 when it's been out for like 14, 15 plus years. It's because it's that good. It's really, really good. But you don't have to. If you're just looking for that Perseus performance without spending the money, you can feel safe at knowing that the RSP DX Air Spy is going to get you really, really close. The last one I want to talk about here is the Kiwi. The Kiwi is one that a lot of people aren't going to probably think about. And especially if you're used to like recording the AM band and then playing that recording back later for review. You're probably not thinking about the Kiwi as you're like an SDR rig for you. I would strongly consider for a lot of you, especially if you're really like focused on live DX, to consider the Kiwi SDR. Now, I got one a couple of years ago. We have one at Mom's house, one here. I'm just going to be honest. I find that more often than not, I'm DXing on the Kiwi than anything else. It's the Kiwi and the Air Spy. Those are the two for me right now. The Perseus is taking kind of a back seat when that was my main rig for years and years and years. But since I put the Air Spy in the shack, and since I put this Kiwi in the shack, those two have kind of taken over. I love my Kiwi. I love it. And since there's an antenna switch that you can get for it as well, I got it off of eBay. And since I got that antenna switch, I love it even more because now I have up to 5 antennas right now that I can do on one radio, and it works super great. Is it prone to overload like some of the others? To an extent, not as much as some of the other ones we've talked about. It's it's somewhere closer to the AirSpy, but not all the way there as far as that goes. It's so good. And you can DX from anywhere. You don't have to have it plugged into a computer with a USB cable. You plug it into your inner Ethernet and your antenna and a power source, and you're off and running. And not only do you have that SDR that you can now DX from, but so does everybody else. If you make it available publicly, at least. You don't have to, but I mean, I think you should, because it's awesome. The more of these we have, the better. All of us are going to find ourselves. Because what if you're sitting in a city where you have a radio station, and I'm like, man, I think I'm hearing that city. Let's say you're in Yankton, South Dakota, and I'm like, man, I think I'm hearing them. And I'm trying to pull up the stream, but the stream is behind. Your Kiwi might be the deal sealer. Your Kiwi might help me get that in my log. I help someone else get it in their log. I absolutely love this SDR. And again, if your preferred way of DXing is recording the entire band or a big chunk of it and then going back later and doing your review, maybe not. Right? I do a mix of both. I find myself doing both. I use the AirSpy and the Perseus for that part, the recording piece, and the Kiwi is what I do for everything else live. So it's up to you, but I think the Kiwi, it actually really surprised me how good it is. So I know Jacob loves his Kiwi. Mexico Mike J has one in Mexico down there. I think he's got the original Kiwi 1 version that does a really great job. So something to consider, especially if you primarily do live DX. You can record an individual frequency, the audio of it, and you can do an IQ recording of like an individual frequency. You just can't do the broadband recording, like the entire AM band all at once. You can't record the entire band. You can record like a frequency at a time. But I don't really find, if you're gonna have just one SDR, maybe not. This might not be the solution for you. But if you've got an SDR already that you can record from, and you're looking to add another SDR, and you've got the $400 or whatever it is dollars now to be able to afford this thing, I'm telling you, it's a really, really good SDR. It's fantastic. So something to consider. All right. Now it's time for some DX. So let's go over here and do this next DX session, brought to you by the National Radio Club, nationalradioclub.org. Check them out and get your information about membership today. And we're going to go to the Kiwi. I mean, this is why. I mean, if you've been watching my stream for the last year, you know almost every DX session, this is where we're at. We're on the Kiwi. Here we go. This is the Shortwave Central Kiwi.
DX Central Live, top of the hour alert.
The Carry Master Player, thank you, my friend. Have a good night down the bayou. All right, we're going mic off. All right, let's come out of the mic off here. So that was there was a Patsy Cline station they're playing Patsy Cline, and then more country music. I'm pretty sure that's KGAF in Gainesville, Texas. I'm pretty sure. I heard an A and a K and a couple other letters. I'm pretty sure that's who that is, but I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure that it would be a relog. I've heard them before. Now, the other one that I thought it could also be, which would not be a relog, it would be brand new, and I would love it if it was, is KAMI in Cozad, Nebraska. But they're supposed to be 17 watts right now, and even when they're not, they're a kilowatt, so I kind of doubt it's. I'm like fairly certain that it's KGAF in Gainesville, because they're pretty common. Or is it KWED? Sorry, Seguin, Texas. Seguin. I know how to say things. Seguin, real country. Seguin, Texas. That's who I think it is. All right. So to also kind of add another kind of footnote here to our Kiwi conversation we were just having, there is a mode on there for all of my AirSpy co-channel canceller people. There is a mode on here when I go to SAM, synchronous AM, and I go to my audio tab, I can do a channel null. I can null the lower or upper sideband, so it works very similar to the co-channel canceller, and it's super cool. It's not as robust, it's not as like 100% as good as the co-channel canceller, but it more often than not it does the trick. So I would say that's another really cool feature of the Kiwi for those who might be interested. So I don't want to tell anybody like what to buy, but you know, that's why I never say this is the one you should get. Go get this one, because I don't know your budget. I don't know what your situation is. I don't know what antenna you're going to pair. And if I'm going to be honest, the antenna you put with your SDR is probably far more important than anything else. I mean, that's just being for real, with a few exceptions. I mean, if you're putting a CAS antenna on an RTL SDR dongle, I don't know what to tell you. It's not going to work very well. That RTL SDR is going to be holding on for dear life. It's going to be so overloaded and so just like please get this thing off of me. that CAS is going to blow it up. Trying to find something here for you, Mexico Mike. I had I'll look it up. I'll look for this and I'll send it to you on Slack. I have a splitter that I use that I saw the guys at SDR Play using it when they were doing an A/B comparison of the original RSPDX with the R2. And this thing, it's a little tiny little kind of exposed circuit board splitter, SMA on all three sides. And I use it in like 3 or 4 different setups over here, and it works really, really well. So it can, instead of having to switch between, you can take the splitter and you can send your antenna to both your Kiwi and your Perseus at the same time, if that's something that's interesting to you. So I'll look up where I got it from and I'll send it your way. So, okay, so we talked about logging. We talked about Google Suite, and again, I'll be working on a video here soon about this in more detail. Probably again a series talking about the basics of how to do it, to set up the form and then get that into your Google Sheets and start feeding data over. And then we'll do a separate one that talks about, okay, let's do all the analysis and the building of the pivot tables and the formulas and all that kind of stuff. And then probably another one that talks about building out the Google site part of it and how to do all that and put all that into a web page so you have this online logbook. We'll do a series on that. We talked about our new DX Central Live website, our archive. Go to dxcentrallive.com. You can check our full archive out. We'll be continuing to add those show notes as we go along. We talked about the new Patreon. So if you want to be a patron, there's no pressure here. I'm not twisting your arm. If you want to do it, awesome. Just know that every dime that you support us with goes right back into our DX Central efforts. So whatever you're bringing in, this is not Lloyd sitting back in a lawn chair on a beach somewhere smoking a cigar and having a drink. That's not what this money is for. I have a job for that kind of stuff. This is to pay for web hosting and domains and CapCut and these other video and audio editors that I'm using and some of the different services that I use for like music and voices and all this other kind of stuff, like all the little subscriptions that we have to pay for on a monthly and annual basis. That's what this stuff is going for. And the more that we have paid, not out of our pocket, but through you guys, that means we're going to take that money instead and now put it right back. Instead of working out for those, we're going to take that same amount of money, put it right back into the channels. Now we can, for instance, for 2 of our tiers in the in Patreon, we're going to be doing these live streams, right? And you'll be able to actually join in on Zoom. So we're paying for a Zoom subscription now. So, but we're able to do that because of the support you guys have already given us. So you'll be able to actually zoom in on those live streams and DX alongside with us. And like, we can sit there and chit chat about DX live. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. We'll also do masterclasses, Zoom masterclasses. Like I'm thinking Linrad, right? Let's do a Linrad masterclass. Or even screw the masterclass. Let's start with the basics. Teach me how to do it. And then we'll do the masterclass later, right? Or Jaguar class. We can do something like that as well on Zoom. So just go over to patreon.com/DXCentral and whatever you feel comfortable with, go for it. I'm agnostic on that. We talked about SDRs for AM and DX, and that's going to be another video series that we do, is which the best SDR for AM, FM, whatever. We talked about the new frequency challenge. The challenge page is up, and we talked about gray line and how to kind of do your research on that to know when you might have a good path between you and some stations that maybe you don't have in your logbook. And this goes back to that logbook analysis. If you know where you have some gaps, either frequency wise, and then you look at the stations on that frequency and you're like, ooh, there's a South Dakota station I'd like to go after. Or maybe it's a state or direction that you're not really have not really done a lot of focus on. You can identify that and then use this gray line enhancement to help you get some of that stuff, perhaps. So something to think about. We finally got caught up on the shout outs, so I love that. So we'll start off fresh next week. Yeah, I think that's it. We'll have some more History of DX podcast series coming up here. I'm already, like I said, doing some research and scripting on the next episode. And we're also going to be doing another DX 101 episode here pretty soon as well, that we're now doing some research and scripting on right now as well, which will dive into some pretty cool topics on the things that don't require visuals. We can do that as a podcast as well. So excited about that. Have we covered everything? I think we have. I think that's all the stuff that we have going on right now. Now we've got the DX Central Live website up and running and redesigned. The next thing is the main website. DXCentralOnline.com is about to get a big makeover. I'm talking a big makeover. We're going to split some of that stuff off that's on there now. We're going to split that off into another domain. And that'll be kind of like the one that's there now will be kind of like the hub for everything. So you don't have to remember all the websites and all the different stuff. It'll be one website you go to that has everything on it. So you'll be able to get to all of our stuff on one site. But if you do want to specialize, like we're going to have one just for FMDX. It's a website for just FMDX. Everything, the whole kitchen sink about FMDX will be on one website. We'll have one for AM. So we're going to split some of that stuff off though, but you'll also be able to get to it all from one location. So that's going to be a big project. I've been putting that one off for a while, but it needs to be done. So you'll be hearing more about that as we go along. I think that's it. I think that's everything I've got for tonight. Unless you guys have anything else you want to talk about in the chat. It's Halloween. I'm avoiding trick-or-treaters right now because they've been out and about. So I have to go to the store, but I'm avoiding the trick-or-treaters. So I'm going to hang out for a bit before I don't want to go outside and then like, I knew you were home. Where's my candy? I'm not sharing. Here. Gray line. 45 minutes before and after your local sunrise and sunset. This is going to be fun. Okay. We'll talk about it in the Slack. We'll compare notes about what we're hearing. But, I will say this for those of you who are still around. You may want to point your antennas, at least for the next day or two, out west, unless you're already out west. Then, but folks to the east, like central part of the country and east, you may want to point things to the west, northwest, southwest, west, just out that direction. Between now and like Sunday, that might help you out in your gray line stuff. and in general, because conditions have been really good in that direction. So that's why we have our antennas pointed in northwest right now. All right. That's gonna do it for tonight, my friends. Thank you so much for being here. For our sponsors, National Radio Club, nationalradioclub.org, the Spectrum Monitor magazine, thespectrummonitor.com, and the International Radio Club of America, irconline.org. Thank you to all of our sponsors for supporting the work that we do here at DX Central, and thank you for your support, whether you're a patron. We definitely appreciate you guys who have already signed up as a patron, and for anyone else who just comes and hangs out in the chat, or even if you just sit and watch, your numbers are helping. Believe it or not, even if you just sit and watch, you never say anything in the chat. That's cool. I'm not expecting you to, but you just know this: you're helping out. You are helping out just by watching, and I appreciate that. So, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the support you guys have given us here, and we'll continue to keep making it even better and better and better for you. And I promise, I'm saying this out loud as a promise. I know I've been slack on getting content out, like new videos and stuff on the channel. We're working on that. We had a couple of things we had to get done first, but that's about to get ramped up big time. So stick with me. I promise you, we're going to get you some good content on the video side too. So take care, my friends. The best of DX73. We'll see you next week right here on DX Central Live.
Takes the stage.
This is DX Central Live. This is DX Central Live. This is DX Central Live.